I know. He's consistently doing his thing, he's making his calls. Not only that, more importantly, he's doing accountability to Paul and Miriam every day. How many people over here are doing accountability to your mentors every day? Right? He's a great husband, but on top of that, one of the things I admire about this guy is he's a man of faith. So I want you guys to get on your feet, make some noise for Mr. Ernie Diapera! Can you use this mic? Or good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on. Woo! GFI! 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 Thank you. Be seated. I needed that. When you're 68 years old, although I feel like I'm 48, you need as much energy as you can get, right? Thank you. First of all, I would like to praise God because every major decision that we make in life, we ask God for guidance. And I'm pretty sure 100% that God led us to GFI through Paul and Miriam. It was on that day, I don't know, Paul's timing is always perfect. Out of the blue, he sent us a video message. Hey guys, just saying hi, and I want to reconnect. Before you know it, he paid us a visit. He showed us the difference. Boom, we're at GFI. By April this year, we started, and our life has been changed forever. And I want to thank my wife because I couldn't imagine doing this without my wife. You know, the way our house is structured is my office is downstairs, she's upstairs. I only get to see her during lunchtime and at 7:30. That's how structured we are. And every time I close a deal, even if it's a term insurance, I would run upstairs, hey, hon, I closed the deal. Every little thing I shared with her. If I speak, how did I sound? How did I do? Did I sound awful? Because I needed approval from her. I needed that to strengthen me every day. Because she gives me strength. And I want to acknowledge Mike for being my first field trainer when I was starting 11 and a half years ago. I started at 57. And Mike said, you got to run. Being coachable, I run. How do I run? Well, get your first 3. Without question, I got my first 3. How do I make more money here? You got to be a broker. 9 months, became a broker. So when I was starting here, we didn't come with a team because my team was so skeptical. They were asking for assurance. And I said, I can't give you assurance. All I have is Eric Olson. All I have is Paul and Miriam and GFI. Knowing that God is favoring this company. And that's all I have. If you're asking me for assurance, then stay. Because I can't give you any. And so I took the plunge, trusting that Paul and Miriam will give us mentorship, and they did. And to this day, they're doing it. Every night, and Lynn can attest to this, we are thankful to God. Thank God for Paul and Miriam for leading us. And for Nate, when I was still an associate, I asked Nate, how do we get to become a broker? He narrowed it down. This is what you do. And I followed that, and it happened. So, in the next few minutes, I'm not using a PowerPoint because I want to be intimate with you guys. Is that okay? Because I want your full attention. Because if there is one skill that you need to develop in this business, it is the art of listening. I want you to focus because in the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you how to make 6 figures in the next 90 days. Do you want to learn that? We have 109,000 in the pipeline. And if you follow what I'm going to share with you, only 3 steps, most likely you're going to make 6 figures. Number 1, you gotta have intention. You have to be intentional. Darius talked about it. When somebody repeats it, that means it is a must in your business. When I say be intentional, you gotta have clarity of what you want to do in your business. Why are you here? You cannot just say, I'm just here to give it a try. People who came here giving it a try are no longer here. Because once they face challenges, guess what? They quit. You gotta make a decision from day one. That's why I remember after 30 days, after getting trained by Mark, got promoted to associate, I talked to Paul, I'm going full time. And then Paul said, wait a minute, let's sit down. Are you really ready? I said, I am. I'm not going back to being an employee. I fired my boss. So I have no other way to go. So this has to work. So I have clarity. What do you want? So when I got on board in GFI, I said, Paul, I don't have a team, so where should I focus? And Paul gave me clarity. He said, focus on your cash flow and recruit will follow. Focus on your cash flow and recruit will follow. And that's what I did. So when I focus on cash flow every day, every waking day, that's what I'm focused on. I talk to everyone I know that could possibly become my clients every day. So how do we do that? I built a structure. Just like what Norbin said, I'm very structured that I treat it like a job. The problem with becoming self-employed, the moment you sign up, you begin to think, oh, I'm the boss. I don't have to wake up early in the morning because I'm the boss. I can watch Netflix all day because I'm the boss. No, that's not how business is all about. You should be the hardest working person on your team if you want to build a business. And I see that in Paul and Miriam. I see that in Nate. I see that in Jeff Brookshire. I see that in Mike. If you look at the habits of the most successful people here, they are the hardest working people in their team, even to this day, even after making the first million. So I built a structure. Let me share with you a little bit of my day. I work from Monday to Saturday. Sunday is for the Lord. I block my whole calendar. I don't set appointments on Sundays because that's for the Lord and for Lynn. That's it. So every time my team wants me on Sunday, no, I'm sorry, I'm booked. Because that is special. Because even the Lord had to take a rest on the 7th day. That's why I don't work on the 7th day. So, how do I start my day? I stay fit. I go down to my garage. Half of my garage is my workout area. I work out. Yeah, I work out. But before I work out, I talk to God. Because I know that I'll be facing challenges that are beyond my control. I need God to handle that for me. Then I can focus on what I can do. I don't have to worry about things that I cannot control. The weather, what's happening in the country, I can't focus on those things because those are beyond me. Let God handle them. What I can focus on is my business that God has given me. That's where I need to focus on. But I have to be fit, especially at my age. If I don't work out, I would be like this at my age. But Eric has been talking about 5 years. I want to be fit and strong when that comes, because I want to enjoy my millions before I pass it on to our 11 grandkids. I want Lynn to enjoy it first. Not on wheelchair, but while we are strong. That's why we're staying fit. If you're too busy to work out every day, you are too busy. That means you're not structured enough. You are not managing your time. And I stay focused. I use Google Calendar. Everything that I'm doing is in my calendar. Even Lynn, if she wants my time on a day, she has to put that in my calendar. Otherwise, I don't do it. That's structure. She said, oh, we need to visit this. Oh, you have to put that in my calendar ahead of time. Because I have business to run, and this business is for you anyway. So you have to prioritize. And if you have structure that is strong enough and you're fit, guess what? With God's help, you can overcome all challenges that come your way. I remember that President's Day, when we were still living in Fullerton, while Lynn was still a nurse at Kaiser, she was on her way to work, 8 a.m., when somebody hit her from the back and she was knocked out. She almost died that day had she hit her head on the pavement. But God saved her, and the guy got caught by policemen. But she developed PTSD that we had to change venue. We had to change our residence from California, because every time she hears a train, it would remind her of that incident. And she had to be on medication. And she couldn't work for the next 2 years. Thank God, our residual income and our little savings sustained us until we were able to get back on our feet. And while we were trying to rebuild the business, that's when Paul came back to our life and saved the day for us. I'm telling you, at GFI, you have a fresh start. Whatever you feel is, wherever you're at, it will give you a fresh start if you take advantage of this great opportunity. Number 2, know your numbers. If I were to ask you today, where are you at? That's why when Lynn was saying, we have 272, because I know the last cent that we have in our business, because every day I monitor it. So when we were starting, I created a spreadsheet, and it was empty for GFI. And I said, I'm going to fill this spreadsheet with business. Because at the bottom, I put my goal. What are we trying to accomplish? And every day, every progress we make, I'm deducting that from how close are we to our goal. And I would give accountability to Paul and Miriam. You know what accountability does to your business? It puts positive pressure on you to be productive every day. I feel so bad when I don't do anything in one day that would not contribute to the growth of my business. That's how committed I am in the business. And every night, Lynn and I, before we go to bed, we would talk about where we're at. Hey, Lynn, we don't have anything today. We need to work harder tomorrow. You need to talk to this. We talk about it, and then we commit it to the Lord. Because you got to know your numbers. And you have to have a spreadsheet, because here's the thing. You can't get to where you want to be until you know where you're at today. Because that is your starting point. Whether it's 0 or 10 or 20, you got to know your numbers. And then grow from there. How close are you to your goal? If you don't know that, you're not going to get anywhere. You got to know where you're at. And number 3, go all in. I'm not the first person to say this. Go all in. You know, with GFI, when I got my first paycheck, finally I was able to tell Lynn, quit your nursing, because I can take it. I already knew right after I got my first paycheck that this is it. We can go all in now. She's been wanting to retire from nursing, but I was so afraid that I wouldn't be able to provide enough. But when I got my first paycheck here, I said, we can do it. So I went all in with Lynn. Who are part-timers here? Okay. Wouldn't you want to fire your boss? Let me share a little bit of a bit of a story. You've heard the story about the Exodus, right? About the Jews? Yes. When they were rescued from the Romans or the Egyptians, you know, that 40-day trip lasted for 40 years because they were not all in. That journey would have been 40 days, but because they were lacking in faith, they don't believe, they're always complaining along the way, that 40-day journey became 40 years. So you need to ask yourself, do you want your journey to be prolonged? If you want to accomplish something and you want to accomplish it faster, there is no other way but to go all in. And here's my question to you before I leave. Socrates one day, a great philosopher, was approached by a young man. Think about this, a young man. I see a lot of young men here. Master, he said, I want knowledge. And Socrates said, how badly do you want it? And the young man said, I must. And so he took him by the hand by the seashore and put him underwater. Of course, when he was underwater, he was groping for air until he was finally able to surface. And then Socrates asked him, when you were underwater, what did you want the most? Air. I wanted air. And then Socrates turned to him and said, if you want knowledge as much as you wanted air underwater, you will get it. So my question to you is, how badly do you want it? Because the level of your commitment in this business will determine the size of your success in GFI. Love you all.